Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and attention coach, 𝐓𝐘𝐒. Today, I really want to help people make a distinction and understand the relationship between executive functions and planning, time management, prioritization. Think of an executive function as a set of mind tools, okay? You might have some tools like a hammer, a saw, a screwdriver. You use those tools to maybe build a bench or a house, okay? Executive function tools are the tools that you use in order to produce a plan, to plan time, to prioritize. And often when we're talking about these, people kind of substitute these things. We take a look at the output of executive functions, being I've got the plan or I've got the schedule made out. If you watch my channel, we spend a lot of time talking about the individual executive functions as defined by Dr. Barkley and the elements that are used in executive functions. So Dr. Barkley talks about self-awareness. Can't do anything about anything unless you're aware of it. Emotional self-regulation, the ability to down-regulate your emotions, to change emotions. All right. If you're self-aware and you can down-regulate your emotions, you can pause, you can restrain yourself. Collectively, I call that self-regulation. Then there's visual imagery, the ability to picture something in your mind. Nonverbal working memory is self-talk, and playing with information in your mind. Basically, you use those three to think inside your head towards a goal. We've talked about the elements of thinking, like the booting up process, the retrieval of knowledge, and capacity issues. But these are the tools that you use in order to drive a plan, prioritize, organize, or stay organized. And the idea here really is I want to bring this together because most people are just looking at the outcome. When I'm working with people, I'm trying to help them understand what their recipe is. Think of it like this. My grandmother used to make a really good rum cake. To get that rum cake, she had a recipe. If I had that recipe and I put all the dry ingredients together and I put the wet ingredients together in the right order, I mix them, I stick them in the oven and cook them for the right time at the right temperature, I get the same rum cake every time, and it's delicious. If I don't follow that recipe, I'm not going to get the same rum cake. Often people with ADHD, they're paying attention to the outcome. They're not looking at the cognitive process or the way and means in which they're getting to that. So if you've ever made a plan before or been organized, often what you need to do back is go and take a look at that cognitive process, the way you went about doing that, because that's actually your recipe to reproduce what you're doing. Now, having the self-awareness to understand your cognitive process is a bit of a challenge because it's intangible. By the way, I'm hoping to come out with a program called Cognitive Ergonomics from the Inside Out, which is basically a way of doing that. But the idea here is often people are dwelling and focusing on the outcome. If you begin to pay attention to the process of thinking and your way of getting there, you can understand your recipe, if you will, and then replicate your grandmother's rum cake every time, or replicate the way you do a plan. Anyway, I hope that this distinction has been helpful to you. If you're new to our channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you're an existing person, comments, what do you think? Do you know what your recipe is, if you will? Or are you struggling with your recipe? Also, we do what we do for you. We certainly appreciate a contribution to the cause by hitting our thanks button. So with that, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Attention Talk Video. Take care.